Okie dokie, so I have done my 2 rows of stitching, my first row with my zip, and this is my lining. So I've got it separated like this so you can see. Okay. So now I'm going to turn it through to the right side. So you're going to push this through to the right side. It's quite thick. Pull it all through. How cute is that? Now this time, here we are. This time we're going to top stitch and it's going to be a bit trickier. So let's roll this first. Right, but I need to make sure this one, I'm just going to pull it flat in here. I'm just going to try and get the rolly thing in so I don't have to turn it inside out. Okay, now this time you're going to pull this down and definitely going to clip this because I can't pull it tight. So I'm just going to clip this down to hold it so that I don't end up with a problem with it rolling forward. Okay. And I've got to try and top stitch it, right? So I'm going to move my needle position to the right again, and I can't even remember how many times I did it. I think I decided 4 and then I went back to 3. Oh, I don't know. Maybe 4. 5. I went to 3. Okay, so I'm going to want to top stitch this here, and then I'm going to want to move this. So what I do is I take this off. So I've got a little bit more, I don't know, movement. And what I did, how did I do this? I've got to think about how I did this. Oh, this is tricky. I went like this, I think. Robin, how did you do it? I think I might have cheated. I went like this. I have to think about this. And I went forward, lock off. Do you want to sew any time? It's right on the edge. I'll just lift it up. Okay, move it forward a bit. That's better. I've got to really think what I did now. Oh yeah, I think I put it around here. There we go, that's what I did. So push everything else out of the road. Make sure your lining's out of the road. That's better. And then, so some things are awkward, and yeah, this is awkward. Pull it. That's better. And I think I might have stopped and gone back the other way. I'm just trying to remember what I did. I think I went to halfway and then I turned back and went the other way because it was easier. Okay? Whatever works, you do. But I quite liked it top stitched and it held it all together. So I think it's a nice thing to do. So hold it front and back. I'll see how far I can get to. I'm sure you've all done things like this and you think, why did I do that? There we are, that's better. Just move everything out of the road, as long as it's not in the road and it's still stitching. It must be nearly at the halfway mark, if not further. And I'm going to lock it off and go from the other end. Yep, that's kind of the halfway mark. So do this little bit. Now this time I'm going to move the needle position this way. So I'm on 3, so I need to go -3. 1, 2, 3. Everything's set the same, so I just need to make it go -3. Okay, and it's only this little bit here that is the reason why I have to go under there. And I have got a little bit of thread over top of my foot that I can see, And if I keep sewing, it's going to stop me from sewing. So I'm just getting rid of, see that little tiny bit of thread? That would have been a problem. Okay. That's better. And pull it down. Make sure everything's out of the road and carry on. Take my clips out. And I could take it out and make it really easy right now if I want to, but it seemed to feed okay, so I'll just carry on. Moving it all out of the road. And one more clip. And come down to meet the other one. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to sew our circle on the end. And I'm nearly there. That's better. And just join it up and then lock it off, and it will lock off in the same place. Cool. Now, the next thing you're going to do, so I'll just cut those threads. Oh, I can't even see them. Oh, there they are. Just cut those little threads there where I've joined it. That's it. Now, the next thing you're going to do is make sure that your zip's still working beautifully and flatten that out. Cute. You're going to get the halfway mark from your zip to one side of your bag. So just go like that and make sure everything's nice and even. Cool. And get the halfway mark and put a pin or a clip. Right? Then get your other halfway mark by going like that, your quarter markings. So you get your quarter markings and then you do the same to the end of your quarter marking there. If you would like to stitch around that first, around here, then stitch around that and do the same to the other end. So halfway and then quarter marking. And they will fit nice and tightly because you've cut them exactly the same size. So there's a halfway. And then bring that across and get the quarter markings. And you need to do that to your circles. Now your next big decision, believe it or not, is to decide which is the top and which is the bottom. So let's have a look. The top should be with a zip. Just thought I'd tell you that. So this is the top and this is the bottom. So now you decide about your handles. Now you'll see I've got the handles side to side, the zip in the center, and the handles are opposite. So the handle, decide, I might as well do it that size. The handles are going completely opposite. So one's going here on that side and one is going, so don't twist them, and one's going here. So you could stitch those first so that they are all getting held and it's not going to move. So what I can do now, I'll leave my zip foot on, put my knee position over, and I could just run around this, around here actually, because I've got my sew plate off. So I could just run around here and it's going to hold everything so that it's all held for when I do the next step, and it's going to make it even easier. Okay, it can stay on a long length because it's only a holding stitch. Then everything will sit nice and flat and I won't need to worry about it. Okay. So it's really good when you can use it, your machine with your sew plate off or your sew plate on. You can see that little bit of fabric in there is great because it's going to hold everything together, and I don't need to panic about it falling out because it can't go anywhere. It's going to be restitched over again, and that's why I don't need to worry about my zip end because it's all finished over. Okay, so this is a good thing to do because it holds it for your next step. And I don't know why I backstitch because I don't need to. Okay, so there you've got your handle, and when the handle is on, it's going to be like that. So that's a nice big handle. Now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to decide which one of these you want for the top. I think I'll use the one with the buzzy bee, and I'm going to fold it in half, and I'm going to get the halfway mark, the center. Then I'm going to fold it this way and get the halfway mark there, and I can see the center is going to be pretty much exactly on that dot. So I'm going to use my piece of wood and my hammer, and I'm going to put an eyelet in. So these are the eyelet kits that we sell. They're the Prim eyelet kits. This is a 14mm one. And you get these wonderful little tools that you can use. And you want the top of the eyelet and the bottom of the eyelet. So a male and a female. But the first thing you have to do is make a hole. So you have got a cutter here, and this one actually is the one that makes it stay in there. So I'm going to make a hole first. So the first thing you do is get your hammer and you make a hole, and then you just cut that out. Okay, so just start it off and then just trim around that, and that makes your hole. It's very sharp because it just about cuts the whole thing out, and it would have if I'd hit it harder. So this is the right side. So you put your eyelet down on the right side and you push it through really hard. And because I've got 3 layers, I might need to cut it a little bit bigger, just a little tad. So just give it a little and push it down. All right, so it has to be really, really tight like that, okay? Then you put your ring on, and the ring goes up that way by the looks, like that. Then you put this ring down, and you oh no, you leave this up this way, and you leave this up this way because that sits onto there. Oops, here we are. It goes that way, goes that way. You can feel the way it fits. I'm just checking, I'm just making sure. Okay, then you put this down onto here, like that, and you hammer. Ow! They actually got my finger. Okay, and you keep going until that is held. Probably a bigger hammer would have been good, but my little hammer will do the trick. It's not even hard enough, Robin. Nowhere near hard enough. You've got to flatten that. I'm such a weakling. Okay, we'll try it again. You'll get the gist. Should try it up this way. I think I'm not strong enough. Oh, there you go. Do it up the right way. So there's my little ring, and that's where my wool is going to go through. So once you've got it right, just give it an extra whack, because if you've got it up the wrong way, then it won't hold. Now I've got it up the right way, it's going to hold. Oh, look at that. Amazing. Now this has to be halved and quartered to match my pins that I've taken out. So I'm going to halve and quarter it. Yup, yup, yup. You can tell it's the end of the week, can't you? Pin, I know where the half and quarter marks are, because guess what? I've got stitching that shows me. But I'm just going to show you with a pin. I don't need to. Half, quarter. And all I need now is a halfway mark here, because I've actually got my quarter markings. Okay. Right, so I want to get my handle out of the road. I want to put right side to right side, so that's not going to work. So what I have to do is turn it back through. So cute. And this is very plain and boring, this one. Look at this one. I have got, it's all fully lined and fully stitched. What was I thinking? So definitely a plain lining is great. Now, it doesn't matter which way this is up, except for I've got a bee, and I want the bee facing the right way. So my bee, I'm going to put his head up here. Okay? So I'm going to, halfway mark is going to be the middle of my handles. So I'm putting right side to right side. Halfway mark is going to be the middle of my handles, and this is where you know if, oh, you don't use those, they're too hard. Clips are your best friend. And halfway mark is going to be there, and this is where you know if you need to trim down your circle. But that looks perfect. So you line all your edges up. So this free pattern from Clover, they don't give you a tutorial, but they give you some pictures that you can follow. But it's much, much easier if you can see it in a tutorial, because then you get to see me making my mistakes and it makes you feel better about yourself. So there you have it. There you go. So that goes onto there. This goes into here. Now they say when you've done this, to bind it. Nah, I didn't bind it. I just sat and stitched it twice, and I think it gave it a really nice finish. So bring this up, make sure all your edges are even. See, so much easier. Really hard with pins to get through that, and also what happens is you end up bending your pins. So these quilting clips are just brilliant for so many jobs. So now I'll just show you how to sew one end. I don't need to show you both. And you have now made yourself a really wonderful bag. But not only that, you can use this method to do all sorts of things. Now, you can still sew this on with a zip foot if you like, because the reason why your zip foot's really good, because it's really narrow. So it's a really nice foot to actually sew this on. So I'm just going to put the needle position to the left and leave my zip foot on, but I'm going to take my stitch length back to my normal stitch length, which is 2.5, because I want this really, really strong. 5 there. So I'm going to leave my zip foot on because it's easy. And I'm sewing on the inside of here. I'm not sewing on the outside. Does that make sense? So I'm sewing in here. Okay? So the first thing I do is take the first clip off, use my zip foot, move my fingers out of the road, and I'll just bring it back one, and I'm going to lock it off. It'll do it by itself, and then slowly go around. Now what you are doing a circle. You need to go slow, put your foot down, you need to lift your knee control, lift your foot up, do another little bit, put your needle down, take your clip out, do another little bit, needle down, lift it up, because you've got all these layers. So as you're going around, you're moving your work. Okay, take a clip out, move your work around, because every time you're doing that, you're going around in a circle. Okay, needle down, move your work around. It's quite thick. Needle down, move your work around. And this way you'll get a really nice finish. And afterwards, instead of binding it, just satin stitch it. I just didn't even bother. I was like, nah, not doing that. And remember, you're going over, also you're going through the thickness of your handle. So the bottom one's easier than the top one. Do the top one first, because then you've done the hardest one first. So I get my hand inside and I move that around as I'm going. Then I know that that's getting moved around. If your clip falls off, then just lift it up and get your fabrics back together, okay? Because I knocked it. So move your fabric around. That's it. Very, very easy. And do not start satin stitching it till you've checked you've got all your layers together. The last little bit, just bring it around. That's it. And bring it around, and that last little bit till you've got it all together and it looks something like a circle. Perfect. And the beauty about Soft and Stable is it's so soft that it moves really easily. Okay, that's moving really nicely. Now, before you do anything, check it. Make sure you're happy with it. Your handle, your circle. Make sure you're happy with all of that. And it looks really good. and then turn back. And this is, I cheated, because you know what, I'm going to cheat. Because why would you do all that work? I'd probably put green on at this stage, but I'm not going to, because I'm going to show you. I'm going to put the hot pink on, and this is what I would do, which I am going to do, is I'm going to do a double satin stitch, because you know how much I love the double satin stitch. Right, so I'm going on to, I'm telling the machine I've got a 1D foot on, and I'm going on to satin stitch. Bag. Ouch. Okay, I'm not sure what my husband's trying to tell me.
A great plastic bag holder.
Oh, yes it would be. It'd be a very good plastic bag holder. It would be a very good plastic bag holder. Now, if you've got any bits you need to tidy up, you need to tidy it up now so you can trim all this bulk off so that when you actually stitch around there, it's going to be nice and tidy and you're not going to have so much bulk. So it's probably a good idea to do the trimming now. And on the end of your zip, if you're worried, put some fray check on it. That's a bit tidier, isn't it? Right, so here's what I do. Put it on satin stitch. Yeah, make it nice and wide. Oh, not too wide. About 3.94. And then I've probably trimmed it too much now because I was too busy talking about plastic bag holders. And then satin stitch this. And go around it once and then go around it a second time to make it look really pretty, and that saves you binding it. It's very cheaty, but it's a really good idea also because you don't have to do any work then. So I always go around it once just to hold it. So if you're going to make it for a plastic bag holder, we don't actually have plastic bags anymore, thank you sir. Because we don't get plastic bags, but you could have it as a bag holder of other types of bags, recyclable bags. But yes, the old plastic bag holders are not really in use so much, but ordinary bags would be quite good as well. Biodegradable bags. So you see what I'm doing? I'm just zigzagging it, and then the next time I go around it again slowly, and that would be my satin stitch. Okay, so always go around it first with a satin stitch, but it's not really a satin stitch, it's really just a zigzag, and then I make it tidy and I go slow. So do your first run and then your second run. Just flatten it down as you go. Take more time than I am. Now when I do my second row, I always go longer, wider, beg your pardon, and I go slow. So I go like this. Even though I've sped my foot up, I'm still going slow. The stitching's nice and close, put it that way. You see the difference? Sometimes I go over it 3 times if I choose to. But that's what I do instead of binding. Because it's just nice and neat and tidy, and let's face it, no one is going to see inside the bag. So normally you would do, can you see the difference? It's amazing, isn't it? Normally you would probably do green and you just wouldn't even see it, but hey, you might as well make a statement. So I quite often do this because I don't want to bind something, it's fiddly. Why make it hard? This double satin stitch is a great finish. Tidies up everything. I could have done an overlock stitch on there, but this is much neater. And that bag ain't going anywhere. It's nice and flat. Oops, I'll stop there, I'll just let it go. You can see, ow. So satin stitch, so just double satin stitch. And I haven't cut it very evenly, but it's still really good. So once that's finished, just pull it through. No one is ever going to see that edge, ever, because it's going to be up in there unless they go like this. They're never ever going to see it. Do your other end, which I will do, and I'll make sure I do it today so it's finished. And there you have, one moment please, imagine if the zip didn't do up, that would be dramatic. There you have a really nice bag for your wool or your bottle of wine, whatever you'd like. So if you have a look here, what I've got in here, I reckon they're great. One of my ladies said she'd like me to make her one this high with one ball of wool, because she said I wouldn't store my wool in there, but you could store your needles in there. So what she's suggesting is that she just has one ball of wool, and it's just a little short one, and then she can just sit it down beside her. She doesn't need a handle to carry it around, so pretend there's no handle, and it's this big. Are you ready? I'll zip it up and show you. I thought it was a great idea. So pretend it's like that big, no handle, and it just sits on the ground with one ball of wool coming out, one thing of wool coming out. It's a great idea. So I might even make one without a handle and just a little tiny zip just for you to put your wool in. But yeah, I think they're a great idea. So yep, they double as a wine holder and you can drink through the straw, but seeing as it's dry July and I don't drink anyway, it's never going to be that. And in fact, I don't actually hand knit, but I am going to use this for this wool, so when I'm stitching, it can come out nice and freely. So the cat's not going to chase it around the floor, and I can sit it down and I can feed it through when I'm stitching. So there's my handy little wool holder today, and I just think it's quite fun, but more fun is the process of getting it made and getting something quite different by you making your own fabric, either triple stitching over a pre-made fabric or doing your fancy stitches over a plain fabric to make your own fabric. So yeah, just something different. I get in trouble for making bags because I'm always making bags, but it's not about the bag. It's actually about the process of how you go about manipulating your fabric and doing different things using your machine. So I hope you've enjoyed that. So your free pattern is online, and if you want to have a look at it more, it is when you go to the Clover website, it is called Knitting Bag with Zipper, but you'll get a colour copy online with your instructions and also the video that you can follow. So there you go. So there's our July Banana Club, and then obviously next month it's August, and I have started on my summer sewing. So next month I'm going to be showing you probably 2 or 3 garments that I've made, and I'm going to show you the steps of how I got there. Now remember, Banana in Switzerland have got free patterns every month, and if you check out our Facebook page, Banana Tauranga, or you check out the website, you can actually go on and get those free patterns every month. But you all know that because I remind you all the time. And there's a beautiful summer wrap dress this month, and if you've missed out, they're only $5 to purchase them online anyway. Okay, so don't forget to download those free designs. Oh, one more thing, when you download them as AO patterns. That means you can send them to your local warehouse stationery, and you can ask them to print it out in AO, and the patterns are only $7 to get them printed. So you don't have to do 50,000 A4 copies and piece them together like I showed you. You can just send them and get one AO pattern, and I'll show you that next month. So have a good July, and I will see you again soon.